spinning out of control. Emotions running wild. Baby, you got to take my love. You got to know. You got to take my love. You got to take my love. You got to take my love. I love
9 WEFM. WhatsApp us or call us at 457-9997. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
All right, and time here in SVG, it is 7:46, and we are, all right, let's see. Hi, caller, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Morning, how are you?
I'm okay. I want to ask you a question before I go into a commentary. I know you guys are relatively young people, but I just want to ask you, have you ever went to a courthouse just to observe the procedure and more and who you normally sit on remand benches? Have you ever do that?
I did so once in my early 20s,
though. Did you observe?
But that was so long ago. I really can't even tell you. Yeah, it was a good while. Good, whatever.
You know what? I went to the court yesterday, and it reminded me of a young man we had from Richmond Park. His name was Errol Munzie. He's once sat as the senior magistrate. And I used to go into the court quite often to hear him preside over the matters that he had to deal with. And he used to say he's from Richmond Park, and Richmond Park is one of the areas that he idolized because of the different ethnic background for people. And when you sit in the court and you observe, there are some benches, chairs on the other side. There are persons who are there. There are remand prisoners, people who just commit themselves over the last couple of days. And I can remember that the senior magistrate there, Errol Munzie, said, imagine we are in the court and look at the amount of people and use a collocation to say who they are. And he said, you don't see no Indians, you don't see the people who's them with the pigmentation of Afghan Sahab, and you don't see fair-skinned people. All you see is black people getting themselves in trouble. And I was listening to Shake Up yesterday, and I found it quite interesting where the research officer to the Prime Minister was suggesting to parents, guardians, and grandparents to see if they could get their teenage children or grandson to become and get a skill. And he pointed out that there are a lot of young people in St. Vincent Grenades who don't want to work, not because they can't get any job, but because they are, as old people say, lazy. They just sit on the blocks and they want to do nothing more than smoke tampy and drink rum and get high. And if you observe that and you go to the court on Monday, you will see the amount of young people between the age of 18 and 29 will be facing some sort of ministerial charges for things that they do over the weekend. So I'm just appealing alongside the Prime Minister, research officers, for guardians and parents, and so to see if they could instill some level of discipline by talking to their children. Because I believe in the old school method, flogging, where we just say, you get licks, your parents, they might beat you. I don't know how much parents use the method of talking these days because that don't seem to be working. But I'm a bit concerned about the amount of young persons I saw sitting on the condemned bench in court waiting to be tried, and some of them were granted bail and some were remanded because of the nature of the complaint. So I was just hoping that persons would pay attention. And when we come back here on Monday or something, we could say we see a reduce of persons taking active activities in criminal activities in the weekend. Because, for instance, farmers work their lands, and We use a nice word to describe the people who go and steal and prison and losses, but a thief man and thief woman go and thief in people things and come around and sell. My father teach me something, right? A couple of years ago. He said if you're going to buy a breadfruit from somebody and you see the breadfruit have a long stem, that breadfruit didn't drop on the ground, they just pick it off the tree. So they hand a blow. Anytime you see somebody come sell you a bag of peas and it's full of pure leaf, is where they teeth the peas and pack them in the bag. So people need to be observant what they're buying and who they're buying from, because the upholder is worse than the teeth. You can't be buying things from people and they don't have any lands and they just go around thieving people things and come and sell you, and you encouraging them by purchasing them. So I'm just hoping that people pay attention to what's taking place right around the immediate environment, so we could see if we could deal with the issue of crime, criminal activities, and pride and nastiness from the thief men and thief women. Okay, that's my thought for this morning.
All right. Thanks, Kingsley.
Okay. All right. Have a nice day.
You too, thanks. All right, so Kingsley does make a few interesting points. Well, one of the things this first starting point that he spoke of in terms of the ethnicity, the race of most offenders. Yes, it would be true that most would be of the African descent. And I want to kind of think that the stats, in a way, would have been against them in any event, because most persons here in Vinci are of African descent, right? Yes, we do have Indians among us. Yes, we do have those from the Syrian Lebanese community. Yes, we do have Asians as well. But predominantly, we are a Black society.
Yeah.
So we are going to... So the stats in any event, to me, would have been skewed towards the more predominant race, which is the Black race, right? It is unfortunate. He did also speak on the topic of persons who steal from others. And I am totally in agreement with him that the upholder is worse than the thief, because many times there are persons around who will know that they are willfully, deliberately buying stolen goods. Because why? They get them at a cheaper price, right? And nobody is stopping to ask, where did you get this from? Because for some persons, their conscience and their budget do always align, right? So if you know that you can't afford the higher price things, somehow your conscience disappears. Even though within your heart of hearts, you know that probably more than likely this person who's selling the item to you it's not a legitimate source that they got it from. So, and remember, 'tis the season.
Yeah, I was just about to say, just last night, I was interested in that he mentioned that. Just last night, I saw a post where a lady did a video showing that 2 of her goats were stolen. And the chains, the animal chains and the rope lying on the ground there, but the animal gone.
Oh.
You know, and it's, you know, as you said, 'tis the season. When people usually go around, I'm hoping is one thing and living the reality is another. But it's the season when people usually go around and take things that don't belong to them and go sell. So you have to be sure, if you see people selling animal and you never see them railing no animal, it would be good to ask them where they get the animal from or to investigate.
And you know, sometimes it's just a simple thing of putting yourself in someone else's position. Yes, I know that not everybody is making it in terms of financially. Yes, I know for some persons it is a struggle. But just think of the things that you have worked so hard to acquire, how long it took you for somebody to then come and deprive you of what it is that took you forever to acquire, right? So sometimes it's just to stop and think and put yourself in other person's shoes. But again, that might be too much thought for some persons. All right? Yeah. All right.
Sadly.
Yeah. So yesterday we spoke on the article, I'm reading this from Eyewitness News, of the 20-year-old man who stole from his 89-year-old neighbor. Right. And Eyewitness article, the title has it as "Man 20 who stole from 89-year-old neighbor cries during sentencing." All right. So Sibron Allen, the 20-year-old Chauncey man who stole from his 89-year-old neighbor, Ralph Williams' ATM card and emptied his account of $9,000, was left in tears at the serious offenses court on Wednesday. So Mr. Allen, the magistrate noted that Grant Connell, who mitigated on Alan's behalf, is also okay. So they all went to St. Martin's, right? The magistrates, Grant Connell, and Mr. Allen, they all went to St. Martin's. So Mr. Allen, I hope you learned your lesson. You went to the same school I went to, and Mr. Connell went to. John told the defendant, who said he graduated from the school in 2023 with 6 subjects, including maths and English. You can say that you're not given an opportunity, and based on your interaction with the court, you sound like a very intelligent young man. So use your intelligence in a productive way and not for a life of crime. You cannot say that you were not given a second chance, all right? So the police officer, apparently noticing that Alan was crying, handed him a paper towel and he used to wipe his eyes, all right? So Alan, who had spent 2 nights in prison while awaiting his sentencing, told the court that he was not good. The place you send me ain't for me.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. The place you send me ain't for me. It feels very uncomfortable, he said when John asked him why he was not good. Alan told the court that where he slept in prison, as well as the food and everything, was not good. If an inmate can tell me wrong there is not for me, then wrong there is not for me, Alan told the court. So as a result, Alan will have to come up with $10,015 in 2 months if he is to avoid a 3-month prison sentence in connection to fines and compensation that the court ordered him to pay. All right, so I would stop there. It's a lengthy article, but I will stop there. Oh, no, there's one other piece. He told the court, so Alan actually works for $1,600 a month, and he said that he's willing to repay Williams $1,000 a month, right? But in this case, he has to fine $10,015 in 2 months. All right, you got it. Share it. I would.
Well. First of all, he cried because he realized that prison not for him. I'm glad. No, I'm not happy at the demise of this young man, but me glad you see how jail. Well, you're not going to jail, but me glad you see how wrong this. So stop. So you decide. I must amend my ways, or at least I hope. I wish they could do this for some more young people, to be very honest. I'm a song cruel, but sometimes the nice ways don't seem to be working, and the talking to them and the encouraging them don't seem to be working. And I believe in showing people the ugly side of things. So if it's fair you have to use, it's fair you have to use, because if you're trying something and it's not working, do something else. Me glad he cry enough. Me glad he cry and say wrong enough for he. If you know how me glad. I hope I wouldn't see his name in anything again. That should be his warning sign. He should take that and carry the light to the other young men and say, hey, you be warned.
Be an advocate.
Yes.
Be an advocate for staying on the straight and narrow. Yeah, I mean, so the human side of him is going to come out, right? Because I'm sure he's standing before all of them trembling, right? Frightened with faith to find out what his sentencing is going to be. So yes, I'm with Dianna in this, because I always say to some young people, they just had to learn the hard way, right? I legit am one of those people who would always say, some of you just have to learn the hard way. And when I say learn the hard way, I don't mean to take it like to the full extreme of a situation, like having to be sent to jail. But if you see that what it is to sit down, to be there on remand, to sit down wrong station and have everybody come in watching you, it must be embarrassing. All right. So for some of them, they have to learn the tough lessons in order for them to catch themselves and get back on the straight and narrow. I would say, though, what it is that I am concerned with is the amount that he has to pay back in 2 months, given the salary that he is working for.
Yes.
I suppose more than likely he may have to go and borrow money from somebody, because maybe a financial institution might not lend it to him, right? But he may have to end up borrowing money from somebody and maybe use the same arrangements of what he suggested of paying back the $1,000 a month to pay back the person, right? I really am hoping that he finds a legal way, a legitimate way out of this situation, so that he doesn't find himself back in a situation where he either steals from somebody else, he commits a violent act in order to obtain money, or that because he has defaulted, that he has to go to prison.
Yeah, I thought those same things. When I saw the money he had to pay back and the time, I said, boy, the first thing came to my mind, Lord, I hope he ain't thief again to pay this back. And then I continued reading and I saw it says, if he commits an offense in the time, then his sentence, he's going to have a longer sentence. I hope that he gets the money to, I do hope that he gets it to pay back, and I hope that he would use this as a turnaround. So even if I don't know what he did before, but I'm hoping that from this lesson, because he's going to realize, boy, I put myself in some serious thing. I forgot to find all the money there to pay back in a short space of time. I sit down wrong jail and I cry. I ain't able. I hope that he will take that and learn and move on, and that he is going to be a better young man. I really do hope.
But I'm even thinking of the fact that he's going to have to try to find a way to survive on $600 a month.
Well, hopefully he don't have rent and bills and children and them things.
So just maybe transportation and food.
Yeah.
Transportation and lunch money. And
that alone is food,
Well,
but still you got to.
You know, the interesting thing is that, you know, if you learn to sacrifice, for many young persons and many people who have long eyes, if you learn to sacrifice, you would eventually get the things that you want, because it seems as though the money that he had stolen, he used to buy clothing and to buy other things. And they're saying that after he has repaid the money, then he should get back the items. But it's a simple thing as well, too, because had he just saved up for the things that he wanted to get, you would not have found yourself in this situation. Now he has to find a way to sacrifice again, to go and pay back this money, whatever way he can, you know, to avoid having to go to jail. So, you know, sometimes these are the learning lessons that other persons need to see, so that they understand the reality of what could happen. Young people, and people, and not just young people, I'm talking to everybody, because young and old have long eyes, right? There are things that you want to acquire in life: suck salt, sacrifice, set aside money so that you can acquire the things that you need to have. Depriving somebody else of their cash and their property is not the way to do it. And may God burn your hands if you do that. All right? All right. So let's hope that...
An important thing for us young people is to differentiate between our needs and our wants, and figure things out from there.
That's it as well, too. That is it as well. And you can't be in competition with your friends. You can't be in competition with those on social media. You don't know how they get what they get, right? So try not to be in competition. You know, get your own and be proud of the things that you've acquired and accumulated over the time, because that is what you have legitimately worked for. All right? All right. That is the voice of the young and the semi-seasoned, right? Seasoned with some flavor.
Well, you know, season is good, you know. Season gives things flavor.
All right. Morning, Rajiv. All right. So we are going to jump out at this time. As the time here in SVG is 8:03, and our time check